All right, man, peace. So the CBS Morning News had a very interesting segment in which they had a clinical nutritionist on their show, and he pretty much is going to confirm that the ultimate dietary law is what's found in the Bible. Anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Growing evidence this morning that artificial sweeteners could cause health problems. Researchers at George Washington University found the sugar substitute sucralose might promote high blood pressure, and blood sugar.
Let me say this quickly, brothers. You definitely should try to stay away from drinks that have any type of artificial sweeteners in them. If you're someone who's dependent on your morning coffee, you should try to wean yourself off of that. If anything, if you want to wake yourself up in the morning, do a workout before you go to work. Like I always state, I don't tell brothers what to do. I just give you my perspective. Because all that coffee is going to do is tear you down in the long run. I'm just being real with you. And you don't want to become dependent on any drug. Caffeine is a drug. If you feel like you're going to be too tired when you wake up, you ain't got to do no serious killer workout. You know, just do 100 push-ups or something to get your blood flowing. But you don't want to get dependent on that caffeine. Because anything that can bring you up can tear you down. Straight up like that. And those artificial sweeteners, white sugar, anything white is not good for you. Particularly in regards to your diet. Because that means that it's been bleached. If it's been bleached, that means that it has no nutritional value. If you're looking for any type of sweetener, you have agave, you have cinnamon, particularly cinnamon sticks. I'll put that in my tea. Raw honey. Raw honey is very good for you, especially Manuka honey. Manuka honey is known to cure a lot of ailments. All right? But a lot of you brothers who are addicted to that caffeine because you're caught up in the corporate lifestyle, wean yourself off that shit. That's why a lot of those people in the corporate world, they act all crazy, especially in the morning, because they're dependent on that drug known as caffeine. All right? So, but anything, again, like they mentioned with sucralose or these artificial sweeteners, you want to stay away from those, man. Pepsi and Sunkist and Coca-Cola. I used to drink a lot of that when I was a kid. That's going to tear you down. It's going to make your body way, way, way too acidic. And you're not going to have the energy to do anything. You're not going to be as functional as you need to be. And those sodas, they tear down the enamel on your teeth. They also tear up your alimentary canal. Everything on your insides just gets torn down. Your stomach lining and everything. Because that's just acid, man. That's all it is. That's why they have those tests where they have a cup of Pepsi or a glass of Coke and they drop a penny in there. And the penny is rusting and dirty and all that. And it cleans the penny or it cleans the dime that they drop in there. That's acid. You can't drink that shit.
Unhealthy cholesterol and abdominal fat. The concerns are greater for people with diabetes or pre-diabetes. The ongoing debate over which foods are most healthy is the subject of Dr. Mark Hyman's latest book, Food, What the Heck Should I Eat? Mark Hyman directs the Center for Functional Medicine at the Cleveland Clinic. Dr. Hyman, great to have you with us. We've been talking about this book all morning, and I guess the question is, it does seem like rules constantly are changing about what people should and shouldn't eat.
That's partially because, number one, many of these physicians are not quite sure what people should be eating or not eating. They try to speak from a platform of expertise, even though they're still in the learning stages, because they're trying to find things that are going to come against the Bible. They're trying to subsidize the understanding that you can and should eat things that are not stipulated by the scriptures, but they can't find it. Plus, beyond that, they make up a lot of artificial foods to put on the market, because they view the populace of America as a testing ground to see how these foods are going to affect the human body and the human genome. Believe it or not, they study the effects of people after they eat many of these artificial foods. When they come out in the media and they say, we're cloning meat now, that means that they've been cloning it for the last 20 years. And they found no long-lasting ill effects on people as far as they can tell, where they're willing to stop cloning meat for the sake of losing money. So if they start to ship out clone meat to the masses of people in America, say in the mid-60s or early 70s, and they have not found that there is a severe and dramatic uptick in colon cancer, at least not severe enough for them to stop using cloned meat to feed the people. Then they'll come out in the 1990s and say, hey, we're thinking about using cloned meat for the people to eat. And initially people will be weirded out, but then they'll just make you think that there's going to be a distinction between cloned meat and what they call or claim is organic meat, so that you think you have a choice.
Is yours the final Bible?
Well, I might not be the final Bible because we're in a constant state of study and learning. But
exactly. So did you see what he acknowledged? That what they have to say is not the quote-unquote final Bible. Why is that? Because the term Bible is always going to be used as a standard for anything. That's why even the reporter used that expression to try to denote something that has a sense of authoritativeness.
But the truth is that we've been confused because the recommendations from our government have been based on poor science and have contradicted a lot of things that we now know are true. For example,
hey, did you guys hear that? Like, I get a lot of dudes who come on my channel and they try to go back and forth with me about things that I say pertaining to the scriptures or to evolution. They try to hide behind science. Please understand that science itself often is not science. I'm going to say it again. Science itself often is not science. In other words, they want to make you think something so that you can accept it as fact. They believe that if enough people say something, that will make it true. It's the placebo effect. As a matter of fact, it's the placebo mentality. They give you a pile of dog shit and tell you it's a steak. And at first, when you reel back and you say, oh man, that smelled. They say, what are you talking about? That's a steak. Go ahead and eat up. And you eat up and you convince yourself that you're eating a steak. That basically is what the standard of science is in America in regards to what they recommend for your diet. That's why even the scriptures tell you in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, in the 13th verse, I believe, that surely we would eat our defiled bread amongst the Gentiles. Meaning what? The food that we eat here is not good. It's corrupted, man. The seeds have been genetically modified. The animals have been cloned. Why is that? Because they're trying to hide the fact that the Most High has cursed the land. If it was left up to nature, America and the soil of America would not be able to produce enough crops to feed the people. They would not be able to produce enough grasses to feed the animals. This land and this place have been under really mass famine for the last 40, 50 years that they've been trying to hide with their genetically modified and scientifically altered foods and plants. Believe it or not.
For example, that fat is bad, that we shouldn't eat meat, that we should be, eating things that we're not really supposed to be eating, like whole eggs we're not supposed to be eating, but actually egg whites are good. That's actually false.
So should we not worry about cholesterol?
No, in fact, the government in the dietary guidelines in 2015 said that we should no longer worry about dietary cholesterol, that it's, quote, no longer a nutrient of concern, meaning that we kind of got it wrong on the egg whites for a long time.
I just think...
Look, let me say this. You can tell this guy, he's still a little bit confused, but at least he's willing to speak up against many of the standards that have been established by the Food and Drug Administration, which is basically just bought and paid for by the farmers. Point being is this. You have to listen to your body. You can't infract upon what the scriptures state. When I say you, I'm not talking to everyone, because I know a lot of people out there don't believe in the Bible. That's your prerogative. But for some brothers who are out there who are looking for some form of understanding, if you find that your body does not react well to eating meat, then you can stop eating meat. If your body does not react well to eating fish, then you don't eat fish. It's not that difficult to understand. If you believe that you want to go to a certain quote-unquote high-end supermarket and purchase grains and oats that you feel like are making you feel better when you eat them, that's your business, man. But one thing that brothers have to understand is that there's nothing wrong with eating meat. There's nothing wrong with eating fish. Why do I say that? Why do I make a point of that? Because you have people out there who go out of their way to try to demonize people who eat meat. They say, well, that's not good for your system. Anything to excess is not good for your system. So you should make a practice of eating meat every day, especially if you're not aiding the digestion process. That's why I try to accentuate to brothers, and I think I stated it in the video that I did on fasting, that you should try to drink a cup of hot tea at night because that will aid your digestion. Particularly a cup of hot green tea. Green tea acts as an antioxidant, and it will help avert many potential diseases that may afflict you later in life if you're not aware and cognizant of it. That's why one thing that you should certainly do is monitor your sugar intake, because sugar is directly associated with debilitating diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, etc. So please understand that. You definitely want to lower your sugar.
I think your book was so confusing, no offense, because I feel that it's always changing. You have a quiz at the beginning.
Yes.
Oatmeal is a healthy breakfast. I wrote true. You said that's false.
Yeah.
I never liked oatmeal. Gail, what you eating all that oatmeal for?
False.
Yes.
You should avoid egg yolks because they raise your cholesterol and cause heart attacks. I wrote true. You said that's false.
You know, I used to like hard-boiled eggs when I was little. But I don't eat eggs right now anyway, so I mean, that don't make a difference to me.
Right.
Red meat is unhealthy and causes cancer and heart disease. I wrote true. And you said that that's false. And I just think that, I think I'm...
Well, Gail, let me cut you off for a moment before you go into your spiel about how you feel about his book. Because he mentioned eating fat in regards to eating meat. Let me specify that the scriptures always tell you to try to separate the fat off your meat, because the fat was always given as a sacrifice. And the point being is this: when you eat the meat is supposed to be for nutritional value. You don't want to intake the fat because the fat represents excess.
I'm confused about what we're supposed to do. You talk about food as being medicine,
Yes.
that we should look at it that way,
Yeah.
and that it really dictates everything that happens in our lives.
It's so true. Food is not just calories. We all believe that we should eat less and exercise more to lose weight, but we now know that food is information, that it's instructions that literally changes your gene expression, regulates your hormones, can affect your immune system and inflammation in your body, even affect your gut microbiome. So every bite of food you take is literally like instructions to control your operating system of your biology. And if you have quality and you focus on that, it's far more effective than focusing on quantities. It's not about how much we eat, it's about what we eat. So
I agree with that, sir. And let me say this also, because I know a lot of people probably listening to this and say, I don't care about the Bible, I don't read the Bible. Well, oh well. I'm using this as a platform to talk about certain aspects of the biblical dietary law, because they did mention it and they're going to allude to it a little further on in this segment, because they already understand what people should be eating and not eating. It's just that this country has a few huge food industries that are subsidized through the government, and through the government telling the people that this is what they should be eating in regards to cow milk and things of that nature. You're not supposed to be drinking cow milk. Goat milk is what's for ingestion, and you'll find that the goat milk will agree much more with your system than cow milk will. There are people who will say that they're lactose intolerant. If you drink goat milk, you'll find that you won't have a lot of those issues. And goat milk is also higher in calcium. Swine, many people in the Christian church believe that it's okay to eat the swine now because Christ came so that everybody could eat pig. No, that's not in the Bible, man. As a matter of fact, that is why Christ cast the demons into the swine, because the swine are representative of scavengers. That's why they're here on the earth. They're like rats. There are certain animals that were created by the Most High to clean up the garbage. Rats, swine, vultures. Any animal that eats carrion, you're not supposed to eat, man. Like brothers from the country, they're eating squirrel and possum and raccoon. You're not supposed to eat that. Why is that? Because they're not cloven-footed and they don't chew the cud. Meaning what? The food that they eat is not digested properly. It is not digested properly. You're not even supposed to eat animals like swans and geese, ducks, bats, or as the scriptures tell you, creeping things like serpents. You're not supposed to eat that. Brothers out in the country be eating all type of crazy shit, man. That's why oftentimes your brain doesn't function right. And that's not even talking about things like fasting, like we covered in another video. That will help you with your focus, your mental acumen, your ability to retain information. You have to understand that food is like gas for your car. All right? Food is like fuel. So always keep that in mind. And you don't want to have anything to excess. Once again, I know that certain brothers will be in the comments. I can't believe that you advocated eating meat. It's not a big deal. If you're a vegetarian, it's okay. It's all right. Well, there's nothing wrong with eating meat as long as you keep it in moderation. You don't want to eat meat to excess because you will become sick. I believe that that's in Ecclesiasticus, the 30th chapter.
So your message is stay away from the processed foods. If you look at ingredients, and there are 25 of them, which might not include the actual thing it says it is, stay away from that.
Twinkies are bad, John.
And stay away from sugar, right? So those are basically, you eat real food, you're going to be in a pretty good place.
It's not that hard. I often teach at churches, and I say...
You see what he said? See, he's leaning towards... He wants to come out and say, just follow what the biblical dietary laws. He wants to say that, but he knows he can't say that on TV. He knows he can't say that on TV because anyone who advocates anything in the Bible basically is rendered persona non grata.
I say it's really easy. Just ask yourself, did God make this or did man make this? Did God...
Did you hear that, brothers? Hey, notice he didn't say, did Asar make this or did man make this? You know why? Because they know all that stuff is bullshit, man. I know a lot of the Afrocentric guys are going to get mad. I don't give a shit. Next time one of you guys out in the street, God forbid you get hit by a bullet, you land on the ground bleeding, I guarantee you're not going to say, Asar, please save me. You're going to say, God save me. You ever notice that? All these Afrocentric guys, they talk all that shit, but whenever they get in trouble, they don't pray to Asar or Heru. Ain't that a bitch?
Did God make a Twinkie? No. Did God make an avocado? Yes. It's pretty simple. So most of the stuff we eat are food-like substances. They're highly processed, highly refined, which drive...
I can't front, though. I have a weakness for Haagen-Dazs ice cream, man, especially strawberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I have to try to get off that, but whew, goodness sakes. I've loved that since I was a child.
Drive diabetes, obesity, heart disease, chronic disease, and we really should be eating food.
Yeah, would you say if God made it, keep it? What did you
God
say?
made it, eat it.
Eat it.
If man made it, leave it.
Is that going to be hard for you to remember, Gail? Just repeat that to yourself as you go back to your dressing room.
Though the Twinkie may be the culmination of God giving us...
I mean, there's 37 ingredients in Twinkies. Only one of them is food, which is banana puree at the very bottom of the list.
The Twinkie is such garbage, they actually try to discontinue it. I mean, you eat a Twinkie, you might as well just open up a garbage can and dip your head right inside like you bobbing for apples.
Is there conclusive proof, now we talked about this new research, about sugar and sugar being so detrimental to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's
much more than salt.
Overwhelming evidence that sugar is the biggest driver of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, even dementia. They're calling it type 3 diabetes.
You see that, brothers? Why is that? Because the sugar that we use, that's not found in nature. Salt is actually found in nature. Sea salt, rock salt is found in nature. The sugar that we use that's refined, that's not found in nature. Now, of course, you have natural sugars. But that stuff that we buy in the store, that white sugar, or, you know, they take white sugar and they bleach it brown and make you think that it's healthy, that's not... You're not supposed to be having anything that has that in it. Because that's basically just crack for the masses. That's really all sugar is. It's just crack for the masses. That's why, once again, you brothers that are hooked on that coffee in the morning, leave that alone. You're killing your cup with all that sugar. All that is, that's just morning liquid crack.
And it's not fat, it turns out. And that's why we got the whole story wrong. We were told to eat 6 to 11 servings of bread, rice, cereal, and pasta a day by the government in the food pyramid. It should be called the food tombstone.
You heard what he said? You heard what he said? Now, if another person was to make a video making some of the statements that he's making on TV, people would say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're this and you're that. This person is basically telling you that your government is trying to kill you through the foods that they're advocating for you to eat.
We even say milk does not do a body good.
Yeah, we've been told by the government to eat 3 glasses of milk a day. Kids should have 2. And the truth is, there's very little evidence to support that. And the new guidelines actually were assessed by the National Academy of Sciences and said there's very little evidence for some of these things that are recommended. It's highly industry influenced.
When people...
You see, did you hear what he said? He said that the advocacy for drinking cow milk, let me specify, is industry influenced. In other words, the milk industry is paying the government to push forth many of these statements that are trying to get the people to drink more cow milk. As I've already told you, if you're interested in drinking milk, goat milk is much healthier for you than cow milk. Cow milk does not fully digest in your body. Goat milk is much more digestible.
So when people hear you say told by the government, they're going to think, well, how could they have gotten it so wrong? What are you alleging?
Well, the National Academy of Sciences just reviewed the entire process, and they found that the government has actually, the committee has ignored a lot of important data, for example, on saturated fat, on low-carb diets, on meat, and they basically just assumed that these are bad. And they've also not actually represented the science fully, and they haven't completed full reviews. And
in other words, they've lied. And that is basically where the reporter was trying to lead you. That's why the reporter asked the question and said, what exactly are you alleging? Because he already knows what the doctor is stating, really point blank, which is that the government is a business, which is what I've been trying to tell you guys for the longest time. This is not a country that you live in. This is a corporation. The United States of America, Inc. It is a corporation. It was incorporated in 1871. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Okay? What we know as America is really just a subsidiary of the global corporation, which is ran out of inner London. That is why they have a collection agency over the United States known as the Federal Reserve. Like when you ever hear many of these edicts, these decrees that are put forth by the Federal Reserve, or we're raising the interest rate by 2%, what are they talking about? Why are they making statements like that they're raising the interest rate by 2%? What they're saying is that the amount of money that they loan America, that when it's paid back, there's going to be a higher interest. It's like a credit card. When you have a credit card through a certain company, they tell you after a while, we're raising the interest rate if you don't make your payments on time. Those of you who are in the know, you know that credit cards are a hustle. So America is being hustled by the Federal Reserve and they can't get out of it. Okay? Once again, America is a corporation. So when the government tells you that you can eat this and eat that, don't eat this and don't eat that, what they tell you to eat is based off of how much money they're getting from that industry. What they tell you not to eat, for the most part, is based off of the fact that they're not making enough money to advocate for you to eat those things. They don't particularly care about your health. Remember, death is good for the government because as far as they're concerned, not just America, but the entire world is overpopulated anyway.
And so, and they're also industry influence. For example, the Dairy Council funds some of the committee members in their work. So there's a...
You see that? The Dairy Council funds the committee members. It's all about the flow of currency.
There's a conflict of interest issue that was brought up by the National Academy of Sciences.
And we are seeing some change. Soda consumption has gone down in the country.
Yeah, but it's got...
He said that there is a conflict of interest. There's no such thing as a conflict of interest as long as people are getting their palms greased, aka getting paid. That's all it's about. Let me rewind it back a little bit.
It's gone up everywhere else. Industry influence. For example, the Dairy Council funds some of the committee members in their work. So there's a conflict of interest issue that was brought up by the National Academy of Sciences.
And we are seeing some change. Soda consumption has gone down in the country.
Yeah, but it's gone up everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Well, you also make a point of saying you're not married to any one particular diet. You're just going solely based on the research.
Yeah,
He's lying. He's married to the biblical dietary law. He just don't want to say that on TV.
Yeah, I don't have any axe to grind. I don't have a particular point of view I adhere to. I just want to know what the science says. And I've been practicing nutritional medicine for 30 years, and I've actually been studying nutrition for 40 years. And we now know so much about what to eat and what not to eat, and that's what I tried to summarize.
Oleg's got a bad rap. Dr. Hyman, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks.
My man named Dr. Hyman. Hey, Dr. Hyman, thanks for joining us. Would you be an advocate for virgin olive oil since your name is Hyman? But anyway, that's it on that. Once again, brother, stay away from the swine. Stay away from any type of crustacean, lobster, crab, shrimp, mollusk, so on and so forth. Stay away from those things, man, because they are not on the earth for consumption by human beings. Also, stay away from any of those strange foods, possum and rabbit, squirrel, raccoon. Those are abominations, man. All right? And you'll find that when you eat better, you'll think better. But anyway, peace.